and welcome to Cataclysm TV. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and our guest for today is lead singer Peter Summit from the band Crashing Wayward. Can you share with us, Peter, how you guys came to name the band Crashing Wayward? I ask because it's just such a cool, original sounding name.
Yeah, it's funny because sometimes people think that we got the name from Stabbing Westward, and I promise you we did not.
Yeah.
But it was actually something we were in a previous project before Crashing Wayward, and we went into COVID, and we just had to regroup and reform and rename. And it was something that Stacy actually came up with, and we were just shooting back names back and forth, and it just like hit me. I'm like, that's it. That's it. Don't change it, because naming a band is like
very hard.
Yeah, it is so hard, and try to get five guys to agree on something.
Yeah, but I mean, despite what you just said about similarities between another band's name, I do think the name stands out. I do think it's a name people are going to be talking about 5-10 years from now. Even this debut album, I Got This, and I got to tell you,
yeah,
killer. And again, very much like the band name, I love the fact the album title, Listen, one word. It is so simple. I mean, if I was to write a review, I think it would be a one-word review, listen. And I tell people the album is just that good. And Peter, the thing is, I ordered mine through Amazon, and this is a new thing with Amazon. They used to guarantee you'd get it on release day. Mine was a few days late because they just got so many orders. So congratulations. I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, thank you. Did you actually get a download? Did you download the album as well too and hear it the day it came?
I haven't had a chance, but is there any extra stuff there?
No, nothing yet, but we do have a couple of tracks that we've held back for possibly something, like an import release and something kind of like waterfall after we run the cycle of the album.
Oh, cool. And I mean, to me, I would describe the sound of the band. You guys are definitely kind of a modern rock band, but I'd say to me, I listen to the overall album, the whole thing, and I would describe it as like a hard rock U2 meets Velvet Revolver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about Crashing Wayward is I think it's hard to really pinpoint what you guys are. I mean, you're not quite hard rock, you're not quite metal. There's elements of that. There's even elements of pop where you can maybe have a crossover Radiohead. So I think there's a lot of potential for this band.
Yeah, it's really cool that you picked out U2 as well too, because I feel like that is one of the greatest all-time bands. They are a rock band. I mean, that's what they started out as, but they are so much more than that.
Sure.
With so many great songs, and Bono is one of my favorite lyricists and vocalists. He really knows how to be vulnerable and give it some like raw power as well.
Yeah. And I follow Stacy's career for several years. I've been friends with him for a number of years, and I'll tell you, the interesting thing is, you'd be reading all stuff that new band featuring ex LA Guns guitarist, but there's really been none of that, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that just the band is so on fire. Everybody's so damn talented. I mean, Stacy himself, is a very talented songwriter, and I think like I was telling you top interview, I think 5-10 years from now, people will be talking about this debut album like they talk about, Motley Crue's Too Fast for Love, or the debut Van Halen album.
I really hope so. That'd be amazing. And I think having that identifiable sound, like what, trying to put a finger on exactly what we are.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to make a fingerprint under this umbrella of rock that we love. We're all 5 different guys from 5 different backgrounds, 5 different inspirations, and just comes together, and this is what you get.
And again, nothing against LA Guns or anything, but like I think it would have been a mistake for if Stacy puts the band together and like we're going to do something that sounds like that. I mean, he's definitely moved forward since then, and this is definitely a new project, and it sounds nothing like that. And I think the fact that not just featuring Stacy Blaze, he's great in his own right as a songwriter, a guitar player, but I think you got a group of guys that really shine on their own. Each individual kind of brings something to the band.
Yeah, absolutely. I think to Stacy's credit, he did something that was not obvious you know, and he has built something with this band and these songs that is like, yeah, sure, he could have probably gone that route, you know, and joined other bands with names and
Yeah,
this and
yeah.
that. He has that, you know, he can do that, but he chose not to, and he chose to create something fresh and new. And, you know, we all, five of us came together, and we're all, again, five different, you know,
Individuals, yeah.
voices, and we all write, and, you know, and he really stuck it out.
And
And I
so,
feel like
do
it's
you
kind of
guys all
paying
live
off.
in Vegas? Like you're very close to where each other lives?
Yeah, so we're all, four of us are. Dave Harris spends pretty much half his time in Ohio, is where he's originally from, but he
Wow.
does take a residence here and spend some time, but he's kind of been in Ohio a little bit more, so it's a little tougher getting together and rehearse as much as we like to, or songwrite. But yeah, we get together and we do a lot of that too, like on the, you know, online email and all that kind of stuff as well. As far as demoing and writing, we can, yeah.
That's cool. And so, you said that this kind of off the ashes of another previous band. What would that be? The Electric Elvis Kings?
Yeah, Electric Radio Kings.
Radio
Yeah.
Kings.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I so yeah, I joined that band. They lost their singer, and I came out, and I actually knew Stacy about 20 years ago. And I kind of just reconnected with him, and I told him, don't audition anybody else. I'm your guy. And I came out, got it. We did two shows, and then COVID hit.
Wow.
And yeah, and then Stacy, by the time that happened, was really the only guy left. And I just kind of like encouraged him, like, all right, we got to change the name, man.
Hmm.
You know, we got to write, because we were starting to write, and it was so much different, you
Yeah.
know, and you know, for
Probably
good reason.
smart move too, because I mean, for a lot of reasons. I mean, that band was like you said, COVID kind of hit. Timing is everything, but that band, there's a lot of potential for, and I guess it's kind of cool that you guys are coming off the ashes of that because I do think maybe being the new singer, Pete, if you would have carried on with that band, um, even though you know the band had been together all along, there would have been comparisons to the previous singer. This way, you can start off fresh, you know.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah,
exactly. And then I do have a hard time singing other people's words. I would
yeah,
do it if I have to, but I
yeah.
love singing my own lyrics and, you know, ideas. And nothing against anybody that
Oh
does.
no,
That's
no.
just kind of like me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, this is all. Let's talk about this album here. I mean, Mouth to God's Ear. I mean, great way to kick the album off. I mean, just the title alone. I mean,
Yeah.
that's so rock and roll. I just love it.
Yeah, that is probably one of my top five songs on the album. They're all like my children, you know, so it's kind of
Sure.
hard to pick one.
And again, that's the great thing about. I think you guys really spent the time needed to kind of really develop these songs. I mean, because thing is, you got 11 tracks on the album. All 11 tracks really kick some major ass. I dare say you could pick any song to release as a single, and
Wow.
people would be great with that. I mean, as I was listening to the album the last 2 days, you know, prepping for today's interview, I'm thinking, wow, I love that track, and oh my god, this track's better than the last one. You know, if it's that's even possible, but all the
Yeah.
way through, not a dud on the album.
Well, again, thank you. That's awesome. That's kind of like how we were kind of feeling about it. We're hoping that's how people would feel about it. And our label president, Ron Keel, likes to say that this album is like being in a room with all supermodels. And it's hard to pick one to be the single, you know? So I like that analogy that he used. It's
Yeah,
pretty cool. But it was hard. It was hard for us to pick one as a single. Everybody kind of had
different
uh,
opinion. Yeah, that's the
different
thing.
opinion, but we went with Closer because I think collectively, as all of us, that was like the one that we felt was the banger, you know, to lead
I
off the album.
that could be the crossover hit. I mean, you could have
Yeah.
hit a rock radio. They could play hard rock, metal, even you know, radio
Yeah.
stations. I think anybody who's a rock fan would pretty much dig that one. Yeah. Now, you know, the modern music business is quite different than when I was growing up, where people used to go buy their music at a record store. What's that, right?
Right.
But the thing of it is this is like still a classic album, like you know, those albums that were made back in the day where every song sounds like it should have been on that album. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you. Yeah. I remember, you know, you'd have to go to record store and you only had enough money to buy one record most of the times.
Yeah.
Nowadays you can just like, add everything. Like if you're doing everything digitally, it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's weird.
And so, like, did you guys just record the 11 tracks, or were there any songs that were recorded but got left off?
Yeah, we tracked 13 tracks, and we wrote about, I'd probably say about 20 songs.
Yeah.
So we tracked 13 and just decided to keep two off just so we can bank on that at another time and kind of slow release.
And was that a hard process? You say like these are all kind of my children. I mean the elimination process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There were, at times, especially like during COVID and like trying to record, because we did this all, in the
Very cool.
studio, so it was at times getting worried that, are we going to be able to complete this song? Can we
Yeah,
get this song done? Because there was there's some certain songs on the album that I really wanted to make sure were on the album.
yeah,
And we actually made it. So Tilly actually being one of them. Tilly was a,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, let me ask you, that's one of my favorite tracks, Tilly. Oddly enough, my grandmother's name was Matilda. I used to call her Tilly for short, but
Oh, cool.
yeah. What is that? Is there anybody a Tilly in your life or anything?
Yeah. So it's funny. Stacy, he sent me a track and it was just, just the music. And he's like, hey, I got this song. I'm thinking about calling it Genio. And I sent him a little screenshot of Genio turkey. I
Oh,
said, like the turkey
wow.
that it needs to be something a little bit more ambiguous, like
Yeah,
Tilly. And
yeah.
he's like, oh, I like Tilly. So I drove to his house because I was living in San Diego at the time. Drove to his house when we had a show and we rehearsed and stuff. And I'm hanging out at his house, and he pulls up a photo of a girl who he actually, Stacy teaches guitar,
Okay.
the girl's mom, and her name is Erin, and she had just recently committed suicide
Oh, wow.
due to just the abuse that she was, mental abuse, I think mainly from her boyfriend.
Wow.
And so when he showed me this photo, it was just like lightning. It was it just inspired. Is the lyrics were there. I wrote the song, the melody, and the lyrics in 15 minutes.
Wow.
So Tilly is really, it is about Aaron, but because it's that ambiguous name,
Yeah.
it's speaking to all the Tillys,
I got. Does
Yeah.
Aaron's family know what the song was written about her?
They do, yeah. Yeah,
Or
and
what?
that's probably one of the most special moments
I bet.
that from releasing this album. And they've her mom has shared it on Facebook. She's very proud, and it was very important for me for her to actually have that for her daughter and immortalize her in that way.
I mean, who knows? Maybe you guys could get involved with like, suicide prevention or like, make a video.
Yeah,
It'd be so cool or something like
yeah,
that.
absolutely. Yeah, and especially if we release this song as a single, I hope we do, and
Yeah,
put all those proceeds towards that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And again, music is made and distributed different ways than at least when I was growing up. I mean, like one of the first songs, like many people that I heard from you guys, was the song "Breathe." You released a video about it. It to go along with it a couple months back, and I was like, more of these tracks I started to come out. I was like really impressed, and then man, when I got the album, I heard the whole thing. I'm like, wow, I just love everything on here. But was that a kind of a new way for you, interesting way? Like, okay, we released Breathe as a single, put out a video. Like, did you get a response from people right away? It seemed like you did.
Yeah, we did. It
Yeah,
was kind of it was really awesome. I think, kind of that was the first introduction really to the band
yeah,
because, you know, again, being what used to be maybe Electric Radio Kings
yeah,
and
yeah.
now Crashing Wayward with all new guys, a new look, a new sound. It was the first introduction that anybody really got. So
Mhm.
the response was like, okay, we see you guys. And I think it was the right time,
Yeah, yeah.
and we just got a really good response from it. And
And how long after you started releasing some of the songs did Ron Keel and RFK Media get in touch with you and wanted sign you guys to the label?
so we released Breathe and Disco Kills, and It was with the single. We didn't release it as a single, but Stranger Days we released softly on on Bandcamp,
Okay.
and it was only available through that. And so Sean McKee, our drummer, who's been friends with Ron for quite a while, was sending him the songs that he'd play on KRFK,
Wow.
Breathe, Disco Kills, and then when he sent him Stranger Days, Ron never got back to him. And about 2 weeks later, Ron hit up Sean and said, "Dude, you just wrecked my week. That song is probably the best song I've heard in 20 years." He
Wow.
just said he kept hitting the space bar over and over and over again. Whatever it was in that song, melody, the lyrics, just the music, everything captured something in him. And after that, he was like, I'm forming, I got a new label. I'm just putting together and building my roster. And I really want to work with you guys. I'll do whatever it takes to
Wow.
launch this band. And that was it.
I mean, again, timing is everything. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows? And that's great. And, I think what you're going to discover, the more shows you guys do and the longer album is out and more stuff gets released, I think you're going to, like a lot of bands, find out maybe different parts of the world react to a different, maybe they respond to a song much more favorably or
Right.
than here in the US. Who knows? You just never know. And that's always kind of fun to see, what are they responding to in different places around the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you guys have played, you played like a show, haven't you already in Las Vegas?
Yeah, so we've played so far we've done
Vamp,
Vegas.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, we do vamped quite a bit. Brooklyn Bowl was a really awesome spot that we played. We played a few different spots, but Vamp is really kind of like a home base. They treat us really
Sure.
well. Got a great stage and they got good sound. But we've done, so Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, we've done some Arizona, Hollywood. We did the Viper Room a few times. So we're just kind of like getting going. We're a little bit late.
Viper Room like for you because it's a very small place, I know, and like you had to have been one of the last bands to play there because they recently closed up there.
Yeah. So it's awesome to be able to play there. So
Historical, wow. I mean, can
yeah,
you imagine? Yeah, if you're just starting out and they're closing their doors, but that's
right.
you guys plan to do much touring, like outside of like just local Las Vegas?
Yeah, we want to get everywhere. So we're really kind of hoping that if we are able to, which we're planning on doing and putting out an import, possibly get that into Japan or into Europe and then use that in hopes that we can really get over there, if not before with just this initial release now. But we really want to play anywhere and for everyone. So
I think that's the beauty of Crashing Wayward is that I think you guys could do a tour with a hard rock, a metal band. I do think even a pop band, because you got different elements. I kind of compare it to Queen. I mean, you mentioned Disco Kills. I love everything, but that's a track that really stood out to me. Kind of reminded me like when Queen did, Another One Bites the Dust or
yeah, cool.
something like that. It doesn't sound like that, but like they have like a disco song or whatever. That's what I'm saying
Right.
is the fact that you guys do different kind of styles and you can't really be pigeonholed. I think it just leaves the door wide open for what you can do, even tour wise.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I love Queen. Queen's, my favorite. So
Yeah.
I
And
love that
Paper
comparison.
Airplane Heart. What was that about, if you don't mind? Because I just love that. It kind of reminded me of a Beatles song.
Yeah. That one lyrically really is just kind of about more or less like the isolation, or just kind of like losing hope.
Yeah.
So one more trip around the sun, someone, you know,
Yeah.
one more trip around the sun
Yeah.
is kind of like make it through another day. And I think that a lot of people can relate that, not just because of what happened through the pandemic, but this is how we all feel. Like a
I
lot of
think
people
I
feel.
think the pandemic we can all say really taught us a lot. I mean, for me, the main thing is I think teaches us not to take things for granted because there's a time once a long time ago where I thought I didn't think the government ever be able to lock me in my house and tell me you can't go to a
Yeah.
movie down the street, you have to wear a mask and all this stuff. I mean, granted they had their reasons or whatever, but it really showed people like even where I live here in California, the governor was talking about for a while. well, as long as I'm governor, I don't think we're ever going to allow there to ever be a live concert again in the state of California. Thank God it didn't come to that. But I mean, just think about the possibility as a working musician that they could close a state down and prevent anybody from performing live. If you're a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like how it was for us. We didn't get to play for, we started Crashing Wayward in 2020, but our first show was January of 22.
Yeah.
So, 2 years in the making. It was like we had a lot of pent up, and
Yeah.
now we're kind of just getting out there and going a lot more and doing more shows and kind of really, catching our flow, and our show is getting better.
And how long have you been in Vegas?
I've been here a year.
Oh,
Yeah.
and you said you're originally from San Diego?
Originally from San Diego, born and raised.
Oh, wow. So what's changed for you there? Because I know I talked to a lot of musicians and they say like Las Vegas is what they call, Music City. They have a lot of musicians and guys, and you can, if you're a musician, walk into a casino and, jam on almost any night of a week. Is that kind of your experience?
Well, I think that's kind of like a different kind of thing, I guess there definitely is a lot of opportunities, especially if you're doing kind of like the cover kind of thing,
Yeah, yeah,
or tribute act, which there definitely is a lot of that.
yeah.
There is definitely a lot more happening here too with music overall. I mean, think about like the Killers and Imagine Dragons are from here, and now
Yeah.
you have so many more like musicians and a lot of like big names that have
These
made
days, musicians, it's funny, a lot of musicians are leaving LA, and I kind of understand
oh yeah,
personally living here, but and either moving to Las Vegas or Nashville.
right, exactly. That's where everybody is, Nashville or Las Vegas, you
And,
know.
and as a musician, it gotta be cool from what I understand, Las Vegas, that you want to get outside your local area, of course, and hope that this album's a real big hit, but
Yeah,
everywhere. But I mean, could you imagine taking this around the world, doing shows in Japan or even Europe? I mean, that would be amazing.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's got to be cool. Vegas is the type of place that, as a musician, that it's a lot easier to get a gig, maybe, than if you live here in LA, even, and as a musician, I think it's cool that they have a place like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think LA is still, there's some spots that are still doing kind of like pay to play,
Yeah, but I mean,
it's a
you,
lot
you laugh, you laugh
of-
when I tell you this, but I talked to tribute bands that, because the tribute scene's pretty big here, and I get why, but even a lot of the tribute bands, because they're such big business, that's exactly what they do, pay to play,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
basically, okay, we'll give you a bunch of tickets to hand out to your fans, and if you can pack the house, you'll get to come back here and play. But if not, we'll move on to another band.
right,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm too old for that now, you know.
And
I
I think, I mean, based on the record here, I think you're talented enough both as a singer and a writer. I mean, I think that's why, like I said, I think 10 years down the line, people will be talking about this album, because after I listen to it, I think all 11 songs are just really that strong.
well, thank you.
Because, when you talk about bands like the Beatles, the Eagles, Rod Stewart, the reason those songs are being played on the radio 40, 50 years later is because just the songwriting. I mean, it's so strong. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think your songs, too, Peter, they've all got great hooks. You got catchy lines, and people can remember them.
Well, I appreciate that. That's really what we strive to do. And again, it's just like it is about the song. We just want to write the best song that we can. So,
And so, and what I think is cool about this being your first album, I imagine when you went in, you're really kind of creating the Crashing Wayward sound. You're like, there's no said box where, okay, anybody got any songs, you want us to try out?
yeah,
Cool. And it's got to be great to be at a place in your career where there's not that said box. Oh no, no ballads, no this.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's like on this album we put three like mid-tempo, which could be like balladesque. Why? Because we really believe in the songs,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I kind of like I love for example like Stone Temple Pilots. They were like that kind of like art rock band in a way, And
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like we can kind of hit that mark as well too.
yeah, yeah. And I also love Velvet Revolver. I think that band was kind of just on the brink of they could have been so much bigger, but
Oh
sadly,
yeah.
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 And I
See
heard
that
for a while they
contraband.
were they were thinking of bringing Corey Taylor in band, but I think they were made the right decision, just kind of let it rest, you know.
Yeah, I don't think that they can do it without Scott, you know? I mean,
Different, yeah.
he's
Yeah,
such a damn good front man,
yeah.
you know?
And so when you guys write, like, is it basically like you and Stacy get together, like you write the lyrics, or do some of the other guys bring songs in as well?
Yeah, so Carl, our bass player, actually, he brought us Breathe and Paper Airplane Heart. David Harris, Mouth to God's Ear, Closer, Disco Kills, um, uh, Shake the Dead,
That's
Death on
another great
Holiday.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, Stacy was like Staring at Ceilings, Tilly, Velvet's Drawn. Yeah, so like everybody has brings in the
That's
music.
the reason, you know, I'll be honest, that's the reason I asked you that, because people typically think, oh, it's the singer and the guitar player, write everything. But
Yeah.
I kind of listen to the album, just my ears tell me kind of, well, it's got to be a combination of everybody's influences. Everybody's got to contribute somehow.
Yeah, you know, and you know, because that's the thing too. They can all write the lyrics and come up with melodies, I'm sure. But what the beauty is they allow me to write the lyrics and the melodies, you know, like they could do that too.
Yeah.
But it's a group effort and to make this song. It's not one person saying, all right, this is the song and this is how it goes, and that's how it is.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think that's why it sounds so fresh too. If you did it would be a very different sounding record if you were the guy who wrote all the lyrics. Okay, it's just gonna be my lyrics and nobody else gets to, you know, contribute.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it almost kind of be forced. But yeah, I think that's why it's just such a great album. I urge people to go out and get it. So before I let you go, Peter, you mentioned Bono. Are there any other singers that you could say kind of influenced you doing what you're doing these days?
Yeah, well, definitely Freddie Mercury, David Bowie, of course. Scott Weiland, of course, is a great one. Ian Atsbury is probably the
Yeah.
first to ever do that for me.
I mean, Ian Astbury. Everybody knows the cult, but I mean, a number of years ago, he was asked to fill in, you know, temporarily fill in for Jim Morrison, you know, when they did
Right,
a different version of the Doors.
right.
And I think the fact that he was able to do that for even as long as he did it, I mean, just shows you his ability as a vocalist.
Yeah, totally. And
Yeah.
that's yeah. And Love and Electric are probably, you know, in my top two Desert Island
There,
albums.
there
Yeah.
you go. Well, Peter, I won't take up any more of your time. As you can tell, I'm just an instant fan of your album and the band, and I can't wait to see you guys you next. We'd love to have you back. So let's definitely keep in touch. And thanks for doing the interview today.
Absolutely. Of course. Anytime. I
And you
appreciate
know,
it.
the interview we just did be going up probably in a week or two. I'll be sure to let Jody know when it gets posted, and I'd like to thank her for setting this up. So
Yeah, cool.
thanks for everybody at RFK Media for signing these guys. Because I tell you, you have picked a real winner.
Thank you.
Take care, Peter. Bye bye.
Bye. See ya.